Blackburn-George, my friend. This is the quarterly review, I call it, of the Arsenal season so far. 11 games played. You and I have witnessed all of them and have reviewed them on this platform. And George, it has been, I could say this has been like it's not a merry-go-round ride. It's one of those things, one of those, not even bumper car. I'm trying to get the metaphor, George. You'll help me there. It has been up and down all the way. And now we are rising, hopefully not on the crest of a wave. What do you think of the season to date, my friend?
Well, if you look at it where we are in the table, it's quite good.
Quite good.
Mm-hmm. You know, fifth. Is it fifth or sixth?
Fifth, George, above Manchester United. 3 points above them.
So fifth, that's good.
It is.
Can't complain about that. Not too far adrift as yet from the leading pack. But if you look at the standard of football, it's a C minus or a D.
Wow, George. People going to say you are a bitter old whiner. Why do you? Because you don't like Arteta and you're giving his team a bad grade. Come on, George. Tell us, why is it a C minus or a D? You said a D, didn't you?
Yeah, I think so. I think we've seen very little good football. 20 minutes against Spurs, maybe half an hour against, or a half a game against Aston Villa. And then we played 20 minutes, half an hour against Leicester.
Yes, that was a best. Yes, the start. Yes, the 80 minutes. Yes,
but in the main, it's been poor stuff. It's been hard watching. There's been no entertainment. The results for me have ended up better than the performances, but that's where we are. And if you look at the underlying statistics, metrics, I saw one today that we're 19th in big chances created.
Yes, I saw that. Yes, it's been circulating.
You can always pick out statistics that don't suit you and make you look in a poor light. But 19, well, that is a poor light, isn't it?
Yes.
In fact, that's almost dark. That's just a candle in the distance light.
George, I saw the when I next switch away from you, I'm going to look it up, but I know where that starts, and I'm interested to see who are the teams, who is the one team below us, who are the teams above us.
It's Norwich.
Norwich, yes, though, and they have been terrible. Very bottom of the table.
Yeah.
And we struggled with them, beat them 1-0, I recall.
Yeah, we did. But anyway, that's how I see it. I mean, not too much to complain about points-wise, I suppose, table-wise. A lot to complain about football-wise. But you have to accept it's getting better.
George, why is the football is not as fluent and not as pleasant to watch as you mentioned? What is the underlying reason?
I think it's a basic principle that he plays by, that they don't move out the positions and they go consistently for fixed plays. I'm not an expert on American football, but when they get down in the huddle and they shout all those numbers out.
Yes, the plays.
I think that's basically what he's going for. Like they'll be running up and he's directing from the sidelines, everybody going to the rehearsed positions and rehearsed plays. There's no spontaneity. There's no creativity. And it's just basically a hard watch.
Yeah.
I can't remember watching a game and thinking, "Oh, I enjoyed that. That was a good game of football." Can you? Seriously?
Well, the basic the last 3 games, starting with Spurs, I suppose, is that we came out of the box at lightning speed, hit them hard, score, and then sit back. We did that at Spurs. They came back into it and got 1 goal back. We did that at Leicester. We did that. We tried to do that with Crystal Palace. Well, no, and Crystal Palace went up, and scored 2 goals before, and then we came back in the death. We did that against Villa. Did I say that already? So that has been the modus operandi. But I noticed that as the game wears on, we're not as effective as we should be. That has been a consistent thread. And he had a super move. He made it 2 games ago. He brought back Lacazette and played a 4-4-2 against Villa. It was Villa, George. And we looked a different and a more fluent team. You want to comment on that? I don't think you did that with us. And you made some comments the last time you and I spoke. No, I'm all over the map there, but I'm trying to understand and try to share with the listeners and the viewers what has changed. Why is it not as fluent as we would like?
Well, it's not been as fluent as we would like for 3.5 years, basically. So you can't just blame Arteta for that.
Mm-hmm.
It was going that way. Well, it was that way under Emery as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's difficult because you have a fixed idea in your mind about what you want to watch, and if you don't want to watch it, you're not happy. Yes. It doesn't mean that it's not what he's trying to do. I mean, this might be exactly what he's trying to do. God help us. We don't know. We know it's not pleasant to watch, but if somebody can tell me what his idea of football is, I could analyze it. I really don't know what he's going for.
Just a moment, George. Just a moment. The Queen had us waiting, and she's back. She's in, and look at her. Hi, how are you? How are you, Byso? George and I are struggling with the question, and George is going to keep going, but we had to bring you in after you kept us waiting. We had to start without you. But, and you haven't surprised us because we expected you to be all dolled up. Yeah, George, you were saying that this is what he's attempting to do. What, George? I missed my trend of thought after Byso distracted me.
Exactly. That's it. He's attempting to do what? What are we trying to play? What type of football are we trying to play? Does he want to play 4-4-2, 4-4-1-1, 4-2-3-1?
George, there's some confusion about that in the media and the so-called professional watchers. Some say we're playing 4-4-2. I called it a 4-4-2. Some say it's a 4-4-1-1 with Lacazette being a withdrawn forward. Your opinion before I go to Byso. Your opinion.
My opinion is we've stuck with a 4-4-1-1 recently, but I'm not sure is that by accident? Have we fallen on that because the other one wasn't working? Is he really going to go forward with this? It doesn't sound a very modern system to me. Going back to 1998 to 2004 with that system, without the players to play it.
Yes.
But we've got away with it recently, and it does look better, and we have been playing better. You can't deny that. We've sort of deserved to get some of the points that we've got recently, whereas until then, I thought we were very lucky to get the points that we were getting. But I honestly, I have no idea what is he aiming for. I mean, obviously, he doesn't have to tell me or anybody else, but nobody knows because it changes from 1 week. Is it 5 at the back, 3 at the back? I have no idea. If it works, if he gets it right, I have no idea what it'll look like.
Byso season review. We're trying to get a grip. George, I don't know if George rated the performances as a C minus, D plus. And because of the football has been attractive, George's opinion is that there's been only 3 games, patches of 3 games, where the football has been attractive. And we I think we all know those games: Spurs, Leicester, Aston Villa,
Yep.
and we're trying to understand what Arteta is doing. The game with Leicester, it was Leicester when he went 4-4-2, because that is what surprised us about the lineup. And we don't know if that was by accident or by design. Have you been thinking about that?
Yeah, actually, I have been thinking about that. And for me, my own opinion about, this whole system of Arteta is that he's going for what is working for right now. I don't think he's picking the lineup based on a particular philosophy. I just believe that, he brought on Lacazette in the Crystal Palace game, and it seemed to spark the team into action. And he wanted to keep that energy up. And he
Yes.
just decided, you know what, I'm just going to leave this guy in and take out Odegaard from the lineup. So it's something that we stumbled upon. It's working for now. How long it's going to work, I don't know. When we get found out, when other teams have adjusted to the strengths of our formation, which is a 4-4-2, 4-4-1-1, how are we going to respond to that? I think that is the true test. We've seen a lot of iterations of formations with respect to like Arteta's period of reign alone. In 2 years, we've done a 3-3-4-3, a 4-2-3-1, a 3. I think we've done a 3-4-3-3. We've gone with a false 9. So we've tried a lot of different formations, right? And I think for him, he just wants to get from this game to the next game and to the next game. And what they say about winning, like it's a habit. And once you form that habit, then maybe he has a platform to build, whatever it is that he wants to implement. But I feel like for right now, what we're playing with a 4-4-2 is just something he stumbled upon. And he says, you know what, I'm not going to upset the apple cart. I'm just going to leave it as it is. And let's just keep winning games this way. And I think that's what we're doing. I mean, kudos to him and kudos to the boys. They're all bought into the process, and we're winning games. Some games we should not have won. No, not that we should not have won. Some games we would not have won in the past, but we won them. So, I mean, kudos to him and his team. I think
like the game
helping us is the set piece. It's a huge, huge, huge part of our game right now. So I can't say for sure that this formation is what is making us perform or allowing us to get results. I just think that we've scored a lot of goals via set pieces. So it remains to be seen what we can do from open play.
Well, George, and that is true. We never used to be a team that win goals by set pieces. But now we're using Gabriel. But of course, you point out that the header against Leicester was or was it Aston Villa? Was off the back of his head onto his shoulder, but it worked. I think it's 6 goals, and we haven't scored a lot of goals. 13 goals for, 13 against. I think we scored 6 goals from set pieces.
Yeah, let's be honest now. If you were looking at another team, any other team in the league, and they were heavily reliant, 50% reliant on set pieces goals, you would call them a poor team.
We say that's a Sam Allardyce team.
Yeah, that's right. It's a Bolton or a Stoke City.
Yes.
You would. And because it's Arsenal, people look for excuses. But the reality is we create hardly anything from open play, and we're relying on set pieces. And that's not good football. But, as Byso points out, needs must.
Yes.
A win's a win. And as long as we keep finding a way to win, it gives him something to build on. It keeps the pressure off, because the pressure was on. Let's be honest. When we were sitting in 17th place, his number was up, basically, wasn't it? You couldn't see him going much further. but now you can. It's been turned round.
Well,
Sometimes, fortunately, and sometimes, I mean, the amount of effort they put in, you can't detract from that. They're putting the effort in, and as long as he's got the players playing for him, which he appears to have, they appear to be all on side. Even Aubameyang's sort of come back from the brink,
yes.
and he seems to be doing what he's told more than back to form.
Yes.
But as long as they keep doing what they're told and do it enthusiastically, because they're all good players, we've got a chance. Despite, but you can't go on creating so little and depending on set pieces. You'll get found out eventually. You will. Let's hope it goes on a bit longer, because you can't suddenly see a free-flowing game coming. Where's it going to come from? It's going to have to come out of the blue, because there's no indication that it's on its way. If you were to say, people will go back to Jurgen Klopp saying how his first year, it was only a year, by the way, it wasn't 2 years. He struggled at Liverpool.
Yeah, they were 6. The first year they were 6. Mm-hmm. I think
they were 8th. I think 8th.
Or 8th. They didn't make.
They didn't. But they reached the Europa League final that year.
They did.
Yeah,
they did.
He turned it around.
He beat them.
And people will tell you, you can see that that's what the aim is, to build a team from young players like Klopp did and all the rest of it. But from day one, you could see what Klopp's plan was, how Liverpool played under Jurgen Klopp.
Yep.
And you knew that if you got better players in those positions and continued to play that style of football, he would give them something like he had at Dortmund. It was that style. Right. That was his style. That is his style. You can watch Liverpool, and if you put them in blue shirts and pixelated the face, you would still know it was Liverpool from the way they played.
Right.
You put Arsenal in a blue shirt and pixelate the faces, and you probably think it's Shrewsbury or somebody. You're not going to say, "Oh, look at that playing style's Arsenal,"
yes.
Because it's indistinguishable from a lower league team at the moment. So we're not going to do what Klopp does, because you can't see what we're trying. If he gets it right, what will it be? We knew what it would be like with Klopp if he got it right, and we saw it. And
if Ehab was here, he would tell us that it would take 200 games for Arteta to figure out what he really what is coaching. I know that, it's a matter of opinion, but Klopp had gone nearly 500. I think it's like 500, maybe 400 games at Dortmund. He had compiled a history. He'd been at Mainz before. The man had compiled a CV of coaching.
Hang on. If you go back to where he was at Mainz, he would be playing the same style of football.
Yes.
If you go back to Arsene Wenger, if you go back to Monaco,
that's the style.
He's playing that style.
That's
Dennis
right.
Bergkamp was watching him from when he was at Ajax, watching Monaco, drooling over the attacking football they were playing, because
correct,
Arsene Wenger's style.
And people are drooling in Japan too, because he was trying to get Grampus to play that style.
Of course, but my point is, you're not going to drool over Arteta style, because you don't know what it is. You really don't. And I'd like to know what it is. I'd like to understand it, but I can't. I just think I'm not even sure if he knows. And
Byso, do you concur? Let Byso, are you struggling with that issue as well?
I totally agree with George. You don't know what Arteta's style is. And I think maybe at this stage of his career, it's okay for us to not know, because he's just, coming into his own and trying to figure out, what being a manager of a football club entails. Unfortunately, he's having to learn on the job with a big football club as Arsenal. It shouldn't be happening. But that's where we are right now. And it's unfortunate that he's having to use a football club as big as Arsenal to learn. But I think I understand. I do agree with George, and I think it's just because of his lack of experience.
That's just, by the way, I don't know if any of you watched Josh Kroenke's Sky interview. But and I've referred to it in my last program with Ehab. But this is entirely Josh's decision. Josh said it's my decision, and I decided together with them that I'm going to build a new team with a new coach, and I expect them to get back to the Champions League. So, just for the record, this is a decision Josh made.
You know what? I'm not too sure because when Arsene Wenger left,
yes,
even Gazidis wanted to employ Arteta at the time. Don't forget that Arteta got to the final stage of the recruitment, right? Before they did a last minute switch and got Unai Emery
with
right?
the down there.
So it's something that I know that the club had been thinking about. Whether it was Josh's decision or not, I'm not too sure. I believe that. I think we're veering off the topic of this particular stream, but at the same time, I believe that there's a change in the brand messaging, right? And all of this is just a rebranding of what we're doing. We have a young owner in Josh. We have a young manager. We have a young team. Everything, we're selling the youth. And that is supposed to, and I think maybe they went back in time and thought about the years when we moved into the Emirates Stadium, and we had this youth project that everyone bought into at the time, and we were excited about the players, and we didn't we're minded that we're not winning, but just going to the games every weekend and watching young, exciting players play beautiful football
and grow and develop.
It was enough for us. So I think maybe someone at the club went, guys, we need more time. There's too much pressure on this guy, and we don't think we can get someone else. Let's sell this youth project to the fans because they've bought into it in the past, and we believe they can buy into it in the future, right? But I think the only difference is that, right now it's been 2004 to now 17 years since we last won the trophy, won a league trophy. There's more and more money pumped into, different clubs. And so are we going to be able to keep up, and how far or how close are we to mounting a real challenge for the title? It's all well and good for us to sell a project, but even back then we were in the mix. Sometimes we were top of the league until December, and then we, kind of fell off January, February.
Right.
We were always in the mix, but right now we're not in the mix. So I don't know how far this youth project they're selling to us can go, but it's working. We have a fan base that's happy with the team, happy with the manager. We're seeing accounts jump into the defense of the Kroenkes. We've not seen that since they've owned the club. So something is working.
Yes. Well, unlike yours truly. But George, talking about youth, there are two. Emile Smith Rowe has emerged so far. I would say that, and Ramsdale, arguably, have been the two players of the season. What are you thinking? And then I'm also and add to the mix. And Byso made the fact that he's pulled Odegaard out of the first 11, and he's also pulled Pepe out of the first 11. So what is your reflections on how the team is developing and orienting?
Well, I think he dropped on the 4-4-2 system, or 4-4-1-1 that I think it is. I agree with Byso. So it's as much 4-5-1 sometimes as 4-4-2. Anyway, regardless, I think the team is improving because Smith Rowe and Saka are playing in the best positions now. So is Partey, and so is Congo.
Yes.
As is Aubameyang and Lacazette. Everybody's playing in the strong, what I believe is the strongest positions. And I think when you do that, you've got a chance. You always struggle when you're putting square pegs in round holes.
True.
Yep.
And I think every single player in the team, from front to back, is playing in the strongest position.
Right.
And that's good. Now, whether he's dropped on that by accident or design doesn't really matter. We've got there in the end. And that's why I think Smith Rowe has looked so good recently, because he's not pretending to be a number 10. He's not a number 10. He'll never be a number 10.
And by the way, George, there are people who keep arguing about that, but you have said it, and I agree with you. From the you when they moved him into the Pires position, as you like to say, he's been a much better player, much more effective player. Rather, he's always a good player.
Yeah, he's not a number 10 in the Ozil, Cathola sort of vein. Even Thomas Rosicky, he's not, and he never will be. He's his skills. He's got power, pace, runs with the ball, and he can come inside and he can link up. It's just his right position, and it's working at the moment. And I think because of the demographic of the team, it will improve. They will improve. They will get better. How much better is questionable, because all of them have a ceiling. You're not looking at players like Fabregas was, or even Jack Wilshere, thinking these guys can be world class.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? None of them. There's nobody in our team now that I'm looking at saying he can be world class. He can be something really special. There'll be good players.
Not even Smith Rowe.
No, I don't think so. No, you look at what Smith Rowe's.
I think for Smith Rowe, if he can get to the level Aaron Ramsey got to, that'll be good enough for him. That's the level I see him getting to, Aaron Ramsey's level.
I agree, Byso. And that's a great level, by the way. That's not saying it's not good.
It's not a good one, yeah.
It's a top level. It's fantastic level of football, but it's not Mesut Ozil. It's not Cesc Fabregas. It's not Santi Cazorla. It's
right.
Not that. There is nobody in our team now that you think that's how good they're going to get. They have a chance of getting that good, because I don't see it. I don't see any of them, and that's where we are as a team. Again, I'm not criticizing them or the team, because we're no longer a team that can get that type of a player. So if we get 5th or 6th with this squad, I will not complain about Mikel Arteta and his management, because I think I think
you were at 8th or 10th earlier. I'll come back to that in a minute. Byso, you're mostly agree with George. What do you think of Pepe? Because when he went to 4-1-1 and put Smith on the left and Saka on the right, that put pay to Pepe. Is there a way back in for Pepe? He was. I don't use this program. I never did. Once you're an Arsenal player, and George will tell you, I never slag and slate players. I slag and slate them when they're gone. But once they wear the red shirt, so I'm not slagging him. He's an Arsenal player.
Yeah.
Pepe has his partisans, but Pepe has his downsides, and he's been. And I think that a choice between him and Saka, and I think that Arteta made the right choice. Your thought?
Well, for me, there is the player problem, and then there is the coach problem.
Yeah.
Okay. For the kind of player Nicolas Pepe is in direct contradiction to the philosophy that Arteta upholds.
You saw my
And
eyes. You see my eyebrows roll.
so
Expound on that.
yeah, because Arteta is and even like before when Arteta came on board, I predicted that he was not going to get along with a player like Guendouzi. Those are the kind that they bring more chaos into the team, which will help the team, but sometimes it's detrimental to, let's say, defending aspect of the game, right? And so I was not surprised to see Arteta struggle with these three players: Pepe, Martinelli, and Guendouzi, right? If you look at those three players, the first word that comes to your mind is chaos, right? Those guys
Yes.
chaos, but which is effective, right? And if that chaos is reined in and deployed in a controlled manner, it could be devastating, right? So I'm not surprised to see Pepe lose his place to Saka, because let's face it, even when Pepe was on a good run and had a consistent start towards the end of
Last year.
no last year, like the season before, right?
Mm-hmm.
You could see that maybe sometimes he would lose the ball and the cameras pans to Arteta and he's losing his head, right?
Well,
Like you've
George.
never seen a
Well,
player
I'm
lose the
seeing
ball.
George.
So
I'm
you
seeing George. I'm seeing George in Arteta.
so you could say that that's a player he has very little love for,
Yes, true.
and he has been looking for a way to replace that guy, right? It didn't matter that he had a very good run in 2 seasons ago. He brought in Willian to replace him effectively,
Oh,
right?
Jesus.
Unfortunately, Willian turned out to be a disaster, but that Arteta didn't care. He would play Willian until it became too obvious that he could just not continue with this guy, right? And so I'm not surprised to see Pepe struggle to get a starting lineup with Arteta, and the fact that he would come on games, he will come on in games and not necessarily be that effective as well. That is even giving Arteta more ammunition to stick him on the bench. For him, he would rather have Saka play the structured way of attacking and not contribute to goals and assists than have Pepe on that pitch and contribute to goals and assists. So
Very,
he just goes to show you what he prioritizes, right? And for him, it's all about structure. And it's no surprise that this team is struggling to score goals. It's no surprise at all, because when you have a manager with that kind of philosophy, you need to have top, like the elite kind of players who are so precise and so efficient with their movement that every other attack is a goal. But if you're doing it with a lesser quality of players, you're going to struggle, because that kind of control is too stifling. It is too stifling, and you're not going to score a lot of goals from that.
That's a brilliant observation, and I'll bring George in. George, I think Byso is onto something. She's Guendouzi. You and I used to have our problems with Guendouzi. You and I had our problems with and with Pepe as well. But the problem here, George, as different from Arteta, is that we are used to very high technical level players under Wenger playing in a certain way and not letting the play break down. And that is why you had a lot of problems with Sanchez, because he do crazy things, lose the ball, and let the entire play break down. But Arteta is coming from Manchester City, where the quality of player is a far different level. And as you say, you're structured. When you are supposed to be in your position, or when you get that ball under pressure, you're a very accomplished player, and you're supposed to do exactly what Pep does. Isn't that part of the problem that Arteta, the root of the problem rather, that Arteta has with Pepe, Martinelli, and company?
Well, I don't know. Maybe. I think, obviously, if you don't have top quality players, you can't play top quality football.
Yeah.
That it's never happened.
True.
Anywhere. There's never been great play from not great players. They're all great players in great teams.
Right.
So I don't think the players that we have now are technically proficient on the ball to keep it. And you see that we don't keep it. We get dominated in games by fucking teams like Burnley. We end up splitting possession with Burnley and having less possession than Tottenham Hotspur and Leicester. And that's because we're not good enough to keep the fucking ball. And going back to my point before, I don't see the players progressing to the point where they're ever going to be good enough to keep the ball.
Yes.
So if Arteta wants to play that way, it's going to be a struggle because how can you with lesser quality players?
So that is the shadow. That's the shadow that you see going forward, don't you?
Well, of course, because you mentioned that we seem to fade in the second half of games.
Correct.
And I think we do. And I've said all along, right back to when Barcelona were dominating the world with probably the best football team that there's ever been. And they pressed. They had that 6-second rule where they go to win the ball back within 6 seconds. And they did it every single time. And I said at the time, that's brilliant. But you can only do that if you keep the ball for 70-75% of the time. Because you don't have to chase it that much. You can't chase it for 50% of the game. You have to keep the ball. Once you get it, you keep it. And that's why they can press so hard and so fast when they lose the ball, because it's so rare that they'll do it. But if you're having to press the ball like we did against Spurs, against Leicester, when we came out the blocks, going like crazy, all pressing the ball, going like, you've used your 30% up that Barcelona had in the first half of the first half, and then you're knackered. You can't do it. You have to be able to keep the ball once you've got it, and we can't do that. And so I can't see how it works for him. I can't see how this system works. We're not good enough on the ball to keep the ball to press hard and fast for 90 minutes.
And George, I made a point to you the last review we did, and I said it again recently. I detected that whenever Lacazette, in this system, we need Lacazette dropping back deep and helping the midfield. In fact, it becomes like a 4-5-1, right?
I know, but Shotta, can I just say, I know what you're going to say, and you're right.
Yeah.
But what you're basically saying is you need your striker to be a fucking Scott Parker.
Yeah, you said that.
That's what it is. You've got Aubameyang chasing fucking back, defending balls. Everybody's fucking running after the ball, chasing it, defending it, and getting praised for it. Where's the football? Get the ball, keep the ball, pass the ball. That's football. Not fucking chase it and chase it and chase it. Then when you get it, you're too fucking knackered to do anything. You just give it away again. Then you have to go chasing it again. You can't spend 90 minutes chasing the fucking football.
Exactly my point. Exactly, George. I agree with you.
That are set up to defend, sit deep. Right? And that's not as energy sapping as pressing.
Yes.
So the weaker teams sit deep because they can't press for 90 minutes. If they could press for 90 minutes, the weak teams would press.
Do it.